Good afternoon again. As I said before, concerns on behalf of our nation and people are many and varied, and sometimes medical. I was just reminded about another matter of a concern that actually began way back in the summer of 1992 when I was temporarily staying and working in White City, Oregon. What reminded me of it was a day in the library from February 22nd, 2011, the day of a particular report that I'm going to attach to this. There was an online advertisement that showed a young couple sitting on their bed coughing, and then on the screen was shown a reason why, a cartoon of little tiny monsters being froze. Well, that reminded me, what that first reminded me of was an instance of that I had worried very much pertaining to when I was out on Lido Beach one day. I had spent the night out on the beach across from the Holiday Inn, and when I woke, a lot of people had already arrived, including young mothers and children, having fun, so innocent, just minding their own business and being very good, making sand castles, having fun. But what I noticed for the first time was that all up and down the beach, people were slightly coughing. Little, not much, but just, just slight coughs. And I can't recall that if it was everyone, but a lot of people. And that kind of that worried me. I thought maybe other people's throats have been affected like you had experienced before. So in the report I detailed that in 1994, it reminded me of the time in late 92 when I was up starting to sleep early one night on a lifeguard stand across from the Holiday Inn, same beach, Lido Beach. When just before I was asleep, suddenly it felt like there was a sharp object installed into my throat. It felt like a bone or a blade or something. And so I started choking, and I opened my eyes, and I noticed that there was a bright light in the sky. I assumed it was a satellite. And then an old man was sinister, kind of laughing, projected to a distance away. But when the instance only lasted maybe five or more seconds, and then whatever was in the sky above started to dim, and the feeling of an obstruction in my throat diminished. Well, I was really lucky that it diminished, because I don't know how it could be, but it felt like there was really a foreign object damage. I don't know if it was from a foreign country, but it felt like there was suddenly a physical obstruction, and I wouldn't have been able to get it out. So that detail, as I mentioned in the report, reminded me immediately of some studies that I had done, concerned studies that I had done earlier in 1992. By the time in late 1992, I had just been back to Sarasota for maybe only a couple of weeks. I got back near the end of October on the Greyhound from Denver. But months before Denver, back in July and August of 92, I had been in White City, Oregon, a town just right near Medford in south central Oregon. I had been transferred there from a VA center to continue a work program, living in a domiciliary and working to save money. I worked in a Shiloh motor inn at the time. So anyway, I did a lot of good independent study using the domiciliary library. And one day I just, for something to do, selected a medical book of some kind. And there was a chapter named Throat Obstructions. And I looked at that chapter, and I was really surprised when on one particular page there was a photograph, an X-ray, a black and white X-ray of a little child's throat that had a double-edged thick razor blade in it. And man, that really got me worried. The kids like to play with stuff and pick stuff up, but something so sharp as a razor blade, it just seemed very unlikely that a child would deliberately put a razor blade into their mouth. So anyway, I worried about it, and I noted the matter in my notes. But the next day, when I went back to the library to retrieve the book and go ahead and make a photocopy of the page to add to my studies, I found that the book had been removed. So anyway, there was indication of conspiracy then, And then by the time I got back to Sarasota, only months later, the incident on the lifeguard stand occurred. So back then, my life was really in an uproar. This ranting, raving, and the traffic blitz was so bad, and I was forced to homelessness, didn't have any resources. So at that time, I was trusting in others witnessing against the throat cancer, the possibility of a choke hazard. And it could be that there was conspiracy, that it even started subversively in the military, because I do recall, as I mentioned in the report, that when I was in Navy basic training in early 1975 in Orlando, there was an instance where a probably gay corpsman used a long swab into the back of my throat to dab some kind of chemical onto the back of my throat. And I don't know if there could be a smear that would have any lasting effect, something that could be activated or not. But this is always for the people's good health and for their safety and well-being. And if there's still any possibility that there could be some kind of a shit conspiracy in children's throats or adults, or children that end up being adults, that I hope it's resolved and everyone's saved instead. Thanks for your consideration.